Who would argue that Savannah Chrisley's podcast, Unlocked, is insufferable? After her parents went to prison, the 26-year-old began working tirelessly on her projects. Her podcast is one of them that she loves with all her heart. Then why is it so terrible? Continue reading to get all the information you need. Why is everyone calling Savannah Chrisley's podcast insufferable? Unlocked was launched by Savannah Chrisley approximately 15 months ago. Listen in as she discusses any and all topics on her podcast. Also, she has been able to fill us in on how her parents, Julie and Todd Chrisley, are doing while they're in prison. Julie is in Kentucky, but Todd is in Pensacola, Florida. Julie is hoping to return home as soon as 2025. In addition to her real estate business, Savannah is also responsible for raising her siblings, Chloe Chrisley and Grayson Chrisley. It would appear, though, that not everyone is a fan of her show. Note that not everyone finds her insufferable, as the podcast has received 4.5 stars from nearly 2,000 votes on the Listen app. What, then, was the reason behind this claim? An article on Reddit claims that the ads are the main attraction. This is what the original poster, up, found striking. Is Savannah's podcast heard by anyone? The ads are in the most annoying places, so I had to stop watching. The center of a sentence is where you'll find several of them. Someone should really lend her a hand with it. Do you have any opinions on the matter? The ad placement appears to be the main concern, which is reasonable. But were other people's reactions to Savannah Chrisley's podcast more mixed? I did my best, but I couldn't stand it. It was really miserable. She claims to be the brightest bulb in the room despite her lack of education and practical experience. Oh my goodness, it's so annoying when she uses "iuned" to connect every single line. I can't stand it. I despise her voice. Her voice is so awful that I refuse to listen to her. There is an issue here. People seem to be having trouble with more than simply the ads. In general, they find Savannah Chrisley's hosting style to be unappealing. Some, though, think she may do better with formal instruction. Thus, she may have future success. On the ensemble show Chrisley Knows Best, she was hilarious and a fan favorite. There, she was able to lean on her family and coworkers for support. Perhaps, given some time, she will improve. Are you familiar with Unlocked? If so, what are your impressions after listening to it? Post a comment telling us. There will inevitably be conflicts in the podcasting scene, as it provides a forum for voices from many backgrounds to express themselves. A case in point is the recent uproar over Savannah Chrisley's podcast, which has been dubbed insufferable by certain critics. In order to dig into this, we must first determine the legitimacy of this criticism and the causes that have led to it. Reality TV star Savannah Chrisley, well known for her part in Chrisley Knows Best, decided to try her hand at podcasting so she could have a more personal relationship with her listeners. Her infectious enthusiasm and magnetic presence were meant to foster an environment where people could freely discuss anything from relationships to self-improvement. Nevertheless, Chrisley's podcast has encountered criticism, with some listeners labeling it as insufferable, despite her good intentions. The podcast's content and structure will provide light on the reason behind this. The podcast dives into insignificant subjects without providing substantial insights or viewpoints, according to critics, who claim that the show lacks substance. People have pointed out that the podcast doesn't attract a diverse audience because of Chrisley's wealthy background and because he doesn't have any guests from that demographic. Being genuine is crucial to the success of any podcast. Real talks and relatable stories are what audiences desire. A lack of authenticity may be at the root of the insufferability criticism leveled against Savannah Chrisley's podcast. Because of Chrisley's stage presence, her audience may seem cold and unapproachable. The manufactured aspect of certain episodes can also make viewers feel detached from the show. The feeling of entitlement is another element that adds fuel to the fire of the backlash. Chrisley, being a celebrity, definitely has access to perks that the common individual does not. Although this isn't always a problem, it can get contentious when these advantages take center stage instead of the actual topic of the podcast. Some think Chrisley doesn't go deep enough in his talks and doesn't do enough to help his listeners with the problems they really face. On top of that, one of the most common complaints about the podcast is that it doesn't cover diverse themes or have guests. Audiences in today's globally linked society place a premium on diversity and inclusion. Chrisley endangers a large chunk of her audience by focusing on a specific group in her debates. Furthermore, the podcast is seen as even more disconnected from reality due to its refusal to tackle crucial societal issues. One must always keep in mind that criticism is subjective. What annoys one person may amuse another. Some people still find value in Chrisley's content, because her podcast continues to draw a loyal audience despite the reaction. Another thing to keep in mind is that podcasting is a dynamic medium where artists may learn and improve based on audience input. Chrisley might take the feedback into consideration and think of ways to make her podcast better while also responding to listeners' concerns. First, she may invite people from different backgrounds and experiences to make sure her visitors' viewpoints are well-rounded. If Chrisley wants her podcast to reach a wider audience and encourage inclusivity, she should feature people from all walks of life. In addition, Chrisley should make an effort to be more genuine in her interactions. She can connect with her audience on a deeper level, build trust, and make herself more relatable if she is more open and honest. Furthermore, she has the opportunity to delve deeper into more substantial subjects that appeal to a wider audience and offer valuable advice and insights. The intricacies of managing the podcasting environment as a prominent figure are reflected in the criticism surrounding Savannah Chrisley's show. Although Chrisley may encounter difficulties and criticism on her journey, she can use these experiences to her advantage, becoming a more powerful and genuine podcaster in the end. It is crucial for creators to adjust and address the shifting demands and expectations of their audience as the medium undergoes continuous evolution.